back to episode number 3 of the Leo's Touch podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about renting your mind. I'm going to be riding solo on this one, so it's just going to be me talking the entire time, but that's okay. I think this episode will serve a greater purpose to those of you who may be struggling with what I share with you today. So, what does renting one's mind mean? It can mean a lot of things. You might be doing it not even knowing about it. I know I was. I know people that I know, clients, friends, family members of mine are doing it too. We don't even know that some of the things that we do to ourselves until we realize that there's a problem. So I encourage you, if you think that maybe you might be renting your mind to some tenants who aren't paying rent, it's time to send out some eviction notices. Because think about it this way. If you had a house, right? Think of your house now, your apartment, whatever, and you were to rent it out. And you were to rent it out to somebody who wore their shoes in the house, wiped crap all over the walls, painted the living room a horrible shade of green that you just didn't like and left it there for you. Also didn't wash the dishes, kept the whole place stinky. You get the point. They just really didn't take care of your home, of a place that at the end of the day is your responsibility. So then let me ask you this. Would you let that person stay another month? Or would you, even consider that person to be somebody who you would value their opinions or what they think is best for you, for your home? Probably not. So often we do this with our own minds. We let people who cut us off in traffic. We let coworkers who are kind of ignorant. We also let people on social media, Facebook posts, Instagram posts, the news affect how we go about our days, because we let what happens around us and other people's lives affect our lives like it's our own. And I struggled with this and still do, because I'll have conversations with people, sometimes arguments with people, 25 times in my head without actually talking to them about the issues that I have, or something they said, or something even I did that is upsetting me, and I need to ask for forgiveness. I am letting those toxic thoughts rent the space in my mind. So I can't focus on the things that actually matter to me. So I can't do the things that will ultimately benefit the relationships, the people around me, so I can help them and be the best version of myself, because I'm too busy letting tenants live in my mind for free. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because we're talking about mental health, and we're talking about how it affects us, our experiences with it, and hopefully finding solutions. So if something that I say during this episode helps you deal with something that maybe you've been struggling with for quite some time now, I ask you to share it. I ask you to show somebody who may be struggling with some of the same things that I'm talking about, or maybe some of the same things that you're dealing with. So getting into this episode and getting into the actuality of how we are renting the space in our mind, what does that look like? How are we doing it on a daily basis? Well, we're letting, again, social media dictate whether we are letting social media dictate what we consume, or what we allow to dominate our thoughts, right? So if you see something that upsets you on social media, you let it drive you. You let it linger inside of you and grow and build and muster, without actually looking at it from a solution standpoint. So let's say you see something on Facebook, right? You see somebody take action towards something that has been bothering them for their entire lives. So for example, just recently, and I'm going to share this is going to be on the news shortly, but this is this is a common situation that I keep hearing about, is how this one girl took it upon herself to chase down an older fellow who had so ignorantly commented on her ass. He had said, "Nice ass," and drove away on his bike. She didn't even really have time to react in the moment. But even her, and I understand adrenaline, I understand, immediate emotions and how that can affect us. And I understand the repercussions of acting on those immediate emotions. So I sympathize with this woman in this situation. And by every means necessary, she did what she did because she felt it was the right thing to do. She let that man's comment dominate her mind. She let that man's comment rent space in her mind, which I'm sure there are many other things, many other men renting space in her mind that said the exact same things that that guy did. So she chased after him. She confronted him. She publicly shamed him. And in doing so, she publicly shamed herself. Now, I know that's probably going to be a little bit controversial, especially if you know who I'm talking about. But I ask you to think about it this way. Is you saw that, right? You saw that post. You saw it again and again, maybe heard about it from a friend. You're thinking about it constantly, right? Maybe you commented on it, gave her a good thumbs up, encouraged her, said she did the right thing. But if any of you have seen the video, she goes up to the man, she swears at him, she yells at him, she really just spews out vulgar comments to him. She does not better the situation. She actually creates a worse situation because she comes from a perspective of hate. But this is a common reaction, especially if we have already been renting our mind, space in our minds, to hateful comments, rude comments, vulgar comments, comments that we let linger again. We let damage our walls. We let them sit, spew, gross, just all the worst things that you can think of. And that ultimately hurts our mind. That hurts our person. And that can result in hurting other people as well. So again, to come back to the situation, both sides had wrongdoings. And I just want to make that clear. Both sides said something that they probably shouldn't have said in the immediate moment. So now there's a publicly shamed man, and there is a woman now who is being put on the news for what she's done. And so many people that think that are commenting on this post think that her going on the news is a triumphant moment, right? But when's the last time that you went on the news and watched the news and you turned the news off and you said, wow, the news is really sharing some really great stuff today. I feel really good. No, they're sharing with us how disastrous our world is. They're sharing with us such negative impulses on our own behalfs, on how we react to things. And if they do share that, if the news does share this girl's story, I hope they give her an opportunity to actually say what she needed to say and not share the video that she posted. Because I believe this girl is incredibly smart. I believe that she's incredibly caring and loving and kind. But I don't believe that those immediate reactions that she had were just because. Again, they were because she was renting space in her mind to people, to men who shouldn't have been there. And I'm just using that example, and I hope I didn't upset anybody. If I did, I apologize. But to get the point across, we do this in so many different situations. We do this with our families. We do this with our friends. And I'm going to use one example of myself. I have a friend in our group of friends that is safe to say our first impressions of each other, our first immediate interactions with one another weren't the best. Why? Well, had a lot to do with my own reactions, my own expectations of the situations that we were put in together. And ultimately, they didn't go anywhere near my expectations. And I reacted in a way that ultimately bittered that relationship. I pushed him further away, not only from me, but some of our other friends. And I let that dwell. I let that sit in my head and in my mind. And I can count 27 arguments with this guy in my head about what he would say if this argument was brought up again, or what he would do if I confronted him in the way that I thought would justify my feelings. But yet all of that was wrong. All of that, what I thought was right in that immediate moment, was wrong. And it would have worsened the situation. It would have dug a hole deeper in my mind. And I said to myself, I forgive myself for talking like that, for thinking like that. I had to forgive myself before I could forgive him. And to be truth be told, he didn't even do anything wrong. And that's really the hard part, is he didn't even do anything wrong, but I thought he wronged me because I had so much other crap renting space in my mind that I hadn't done, a check with. I hadn't cleaned out. I hadn't kicked out. I had let it all sit there. And in turn, in a social situation, I let all that other stuff take hold of my immediate reactions towards a friend of mine. And again, that not only hurt him, it hurt everybody else around me. And ultimately, when I came to terms with that, when I understood that, what it meant to rent space in my mind, I started taking an action on how to clean up after myself so that anything that was bothering me didn't hurt the people around me. And in doing so, I went and I addressed the person. I addressed the situation. I asked for forgiveness. And I said to him, and I vowed to everybody else around us, that I would treat him with respect, with love, and with care. Because that's all I could do in that situation. So again, what I'm trying to explain is that no matter who you are, no matter what you are, it all happens to us. And sometimes we are the cause of it. We are the very cause of our own demise in most senses. And most of the time, we are the ones that put ourselves in the positions that we're in. There are a lot of situations where you can't control the outcome. There are a lot of things that you can't control what happens. And that's totally fine. Acknowledging those, I guarantee you, will take immense stress off of your shoulders. But understanding that most of the time, you are in control of how you perceive a situation, on how you take control of a situation, on how you handle a situation. Let it be with friends, let it be with family, let it be with work, whatever it's with. You have a lot more control than you realize. And again, it even comes back to what we allow to spend time in our minds, right? Are you watching ridiculous amounts of the news? Maybe. Are you able to recite the last 5 days of the news and everything that they reported on? Well, if you can, then that's a clear indication that maybe you are. Can you say all the posts that were just posted on your community wall on Facebook and everything that's going on there? And if you can, again, maybe that's a sign that you're giving too much power to things and let them dictate how you go about your day. You see a post on Instagram. Somebody's with somebody that you used to be with. And you then feel like you're not moving in life. The other person that you were with moved on. That relationship that you had moved on. And you're spending so much time thinking about what they did wrong in the relationship instead of what you did wrong in the relationship. Or maybe even what you did right or what they did right. Thinking of the good times, maybe thinking of the bad times. Instead of using those as lessons to move yourself forward in every relationship that you find yourself in. So again, what does this have to do with your mental health? Well, I hope that what I shared with you is very clear. of what it has to do with your mental health. It's everything. It's everything that you spend time thinking about. And it's everything on how you perceive the world and the world around you. So I encourage you to kick out some of the tenants, all of the tenants that aren't paying rent in your mind. How do you do that? Well, there's a few steps on how you do that. And we spoke a little bit about this in last week's episode. If you guys haven't seen that, that was with Shelby Houston. Great friend of mine. It was about depression, right? And how the things going on in his life brought him to that point, brought him to that state of depression, and ultimately how he got out of it. And how he got out of it was bettering himself, focusing in on himself instead of focusing on what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is posting. He focused on how each and every day could he get better? Could he think clearer? Could he take his mind from the issues, the problems that seemed so far out of his control, and how he could get them closer in his control and deal with them? And so one of the biggest things for me, obviously I'm a little bit biased in this sense, but it's fitness, it's personal health. That is one way, first and foremost, on how you can make positive change and how you can kick out those tenants in your mind. Because exercising allows oxygen into your brain. And that oxygen can kick out all of the crap that was sitting in there otherwise. Imagine any organ in your body, any muscle in your body, and you took the oxygen away. What would happen? That muscle, that organ would deteriorate. So think about this. If you let those things, the negativities of your life, things that you felt have harmed you in any way, and you just let it sit there and you don't deal with it in any way, shape, or form, you are not giving yourself a fighting chance. So what's the worst thing that happens if you go for a walk for 30 minutes each day? If you are struggling mentally, if you are struggling with things in your mind, if you are struggling with people in your mind or situations that you feel like you can't control, go for a walk. Breathe. Come back. And when you feel 1,000 times better, subscribe to this channel, comment on this episode, and let me know what happens. If you want to even more, create a routine for yourself. Get up early. Take a cold shower. Right? I'm reciting things that in the personal health, personal wellness industry has been saying for such a long time. Those things help you clear the clutter. Get rid of all of the things that, again, have been sitting in your mind and dwelling in your mind and creating a toxic situation for you and for others around you. So, step number 1, go for a walk, exercise, find a routine. Secondly, let some positivity pour into your life. I'm not saying life is all sunshine and rainbows all the time, but let some positivity into your life. Read a book. Find a YouTuber. Find another podcast. Stay with this podcast. And let the information that we pour over you, let the positivity of change, let the positivity of growth develop inside of you so that when you go in each and every day, you have a positive outlook, right? You're not looking around. You're not seeing dark, gloomy back lanes. You're not seeing all the darkness that this world has in it. And it does. Believe me, it does. But looking and seeking for the positive attributes of life in each and every day, I can guarantee you will make headway in your life in a positive way that you can appreciate, that you can take to others, you can share with others, and you can help people as well. So step number 1, find a routine, go for a walk, start exercising. Step number 2, look for positive things in your life. Seek them out. They won't always come to you, and nor should they. Sometimes you got to do the work. Most of the time, you do have to do the work. Third thing, Start reading. Listen to audibles if you don't like reading. Find ways to read better, read faster, retain more of the information that you're reading if you struggle with that, because I did. I found ways that I could focus better, because in this life that we live, we have so many distractions. There's a 75-inch TV behind me right now. Crazy. There's a phone to my right. There's a laptop right in front of me. There's a camera in front of me too as well. All these distractions are so easy, and trying to read, almost impossible. So one thing that I did, because my mind is always going, bouncing off the walls, one thing that I had to do was find white noise. White noise to cancel out everything else, put noise canceling headphones on, and be still. So I could read. So I could block out what's around me. So that I could retain the knowledge that I was reading, so that I'm not just mindlessly reading. Because then again, that creates a sense of, well, you didn't really do anything, right? If you can't recite what you just read, then that's ultimately going to make you kind of feel worse. So make sure that when you're reading, that you're taking notes, that you're writing down key points, that you're bookmarking the pages, so that when you come back, or when you face a situation in your life, that again, maybe a chapter of a book that you read had something to do with that, you don't forget it. You can go right back to it. And it helps you retain that a lot easier too as well. So again, 3 solutions right there: exercise, positivity, reading. 3 things. So just to start off with, I'm not going to give you the list of all the things that you can do, but I'm also going to share with you 3 easy things that you could do, and I just did. So if any of that helped you, if you guys have any questions about that, please DM me. Please comment on this episode. Let me know what you guys think. I'm very excited for next week's episode, because I have a good friend of mine, Julia, coming onto the show. She's going to be talking about how she integrates something called dosha fault lines into her yoga practice, and how she helps her clients with anxiety, with depression, with self-disbelief, with all the things that we have mentioned in today's episode and the episode before this as well, and how you can really work through that in a practice of yoga. And if that's something that interests you, please stay tuned for that episode too as well. And I can't wait to share with you guys another great, exciting news. So just before we do that, we're going to take a quick little break. Thanks again so much for listening, and we'll see you right back here in just a minute. All right, guys. So coming back from our break there, again, recapping those 3 points that we went over: exercise, positivity, reading. 3 good, not simple solutions, right? Each of these solutions requires a little bit of help, a little bit of assistance from outside sources. So exercise, for one. What do I mean by that? What do you need help with that for? Well, I ask you that. How's it going? How's your exercise going? Whether it's at home, whether it's at the gym, whatever you've been doing, however many years you've been exercising, ask yourself, have you achieved everything that you've wanted to achieve? Have you done everything that you wanted to do? Have you started? Those are questions that I want you to ask yourself. And if either of those questions you answer in a way that you don't want to answer, well, I've got good news coming up. Second thing, positivity. Positivity is not an easy thing just to do yourself. It's something you definitely need help with. And sometimes, Mother Nature, she can be just all the help you need. So taking some time, going outside, walking around, like step number 1, but maybe even finding yourself at a point at the park, just chilling out, hanging out with the bench, looking at the birds, watching the flowers, just being present, being in the moment, right? Those are positive things that can happen throughout your day that you give yourself the opportunity to experience. They help with clarity. They help with motivating you, giving yourself a purpose for that day. So I encourage you to take the time again for yourself, not for anybody else. And taking time for yourself doesn't mean spending a whole bunch of time on video games or spending a whole bunch of time on social media or on your phone or relaxing in that way. Taking time for yourself actually means going out and doing something. Even if you're tired, even if you've worked all day, it's worth it. I promise you, it's worth it. Thirdly, books. You, me, everybody knows that there are tons of books out there, and there are tons of ways you can get access to books. Bookstores, Audible, literally grocery stores, every single place that sells something, more often than not, has a book. So one of my processes that I usually do when I go and look for a book is, well, I don't really go in with expectations. Sometimes I do if there's a book or if there's an author that I know that has just released a book. Yeah, I know what book I'm buying. I'm buying their book. But more often than not, I find myself going into a bookstore with no intentions whatsoever, but just giving myself the opportunity to find the right book at the right time. And this might sound a little bit methodical or a little bit spiritual of a process, and it totally is. I feel and I can confidently say that every single time that I've gone to look for a book or I've gone even into a bookstore, I've found the exact book that I need in that moment. Now, I can't guarantee that that's going to happen to you, but I can guarantee that if you give yourself the opportunity, it will happen. So, what about if those tenants that you kicked out, that you evicted, come back, right? But they come back with a damage deposit. They come back with a really good apology. Or they come back with 2 months rent. Are you going to let them back in? Sorry to tell you, that space is full. Because when you fill up those rooms with exercise, with having positive interactions throughout your day, taking time for yourself, reading, you fill up a lot of the spaces that a lot of unnecessary things take up. So just let that be an encouragement to you. If you are struggling with some of the things that I've mentioned today in this episode, let those 3 things be a pillar of hope, a pillar of progression, a pillar of growth for your future, for yourself, for your mind. Let all 3 of those things help you and guide you through some of the struggles that you may be experiencing with today. So lastly, as we wrap up, I just want to give a special thanks to every single person who watched the first episode, the second episode, and now this episode. And for all of you who have messaged me, let me know what you think about these episodes and about this podcast. It really means a lot, especially with me putting myself out here and with me pursuing this now as, well, a profession. You know, this is something that I really want to take seriously, and I hope that you guys have been able to appreciate the video quality that my editor has done, because he is absolutely incredible at what he did. He just put a little thumbs up there. So again, if you guys get the opportunity, if you have something that you guys want help with from a video standpoint or an editing standpoint, make sure to search up Andrew Harder Film on Instagram. He has been such a blessing for me to editing these podcasts, because to be honest with you, I wouldn't know where to start. And again, that is just another testament to seeking help, to finding somebody who can help you, because when you get more than just yourself doing something, the power of 2 always outweighs the power of 1. And a good example of that is Clydesdales, horses, big horses, huge. And I may be wrong on the name of the horses, but I'm pretty sure it's Clydesdales. And if you look it up, they can pull, as a singular horse, they can pull a weight of 8,000 pounds. Okay? So 1 Clydesdale can pull 8,000 pounds. But 2 Clydesdales, you'd probably think, well, they can pull 16,000 pounds. They can pull 24,000 pounds. How that works, I don't know. I was never really good at math. I don't know if that means they multiplied their power, if they divided their power, who knows? I don't know how it works, but I just know the power of 2 is a lot more than the power of 1. So seeking out help sometimes is the best thing that you'll ever do. So again, if you guys need any help with your videos, with your editing, with whatever you're doing, if you're shooting commercials, if you have a brand, doesn't matter. Hit up Andrew Harder Film on Instagram, DM him, let him know what you think of the podcast, and if you need help with anything, he will oblige you in every way he knows how. So last point, I am super excited to share this. I am officially going independent as my own business with personal training. I am opening up Leo Fit to the public now, to the public eye, and it is finally official, and I'm super excited. I have taken so much time to work on this and build this up and make sure that I can provide a quality that I expect from my personal training and from the experiences that I've had with my clients, and build upon those for you. So if any of you are interested, if any of you have questions about your fitness or about your routine or about your program or even starting one, please email me in the link that I provide below. And with any of your inquiries that you may have, I would love to help you guys. And again, I'm super excited for this exciting venture that I'm taking. So please stay tuned for that. Again, it is Leo Fit. So it's a little sister brand of Leo's Touch, but all in all, this is one big family, and I'm super excited to get started on this. So again, guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And if something that I said resonated with you, or would resonate with somebody that you know, share this podcast with them, and that helps us grow and produce more content as well for you guys. And again, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, have a great rest of your day.